I guess it's 9 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. I guess the first item on the agenda is the adoption of agenda. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for that.
I'll put it forward.
All right,
I'll second it.
Jim, all in favor? Yep. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does anyone have an interest they'd like to declare at this time? Seeing none, we'll go on to the minutes. I guess we've got to do minutes from a couple of meetings, so everyone's had a look at them. If there's no questions on those, I'll need a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes.
I'll make that motion. Bill Denning.
Bill,
I'll second it.
seconded by Terry, all in favor? Carried. Business arising from the minutes. Is there anything as a result of those minutes that we need to discuss at this time?
Mr. Chair, is that for both minutes, December 13th?
Yeah, yes,
Okay, sorry.
yes. Okay. Don't see any business arising out of the minutes, so we're going to our financials. Everyone's had a quick look at those. I would imagine there will be some year-end adjustments still to come on those figures. This time of year, you're still waiting for a few invoices, but taking a look at it from my perspective, it looks pretty positive. But any questions on the financial statements? If not, I need a motion to adopt them.
I'll put that motion forward. It's Ryan.
Okay. Ryan,
I'll second.
Terry seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Staff reports. Lee, I guess you're up first.
Yep. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. So we wanted to bring a report forward. We've had a few requests now that have come in to the municipality regarding use of the canteen and or use of the parking area outside of the arena to offer coffee and food items for patrons of the arena. One of those requests went to West Elgin's council meeting on December 21st and was deferred. And that was for the outdoors for a mobile bakery to be set up in the parking area. So staff have looked at this and we've had some discussions. Obviously, we all know that there was a canteen operator in the arena before COVID. We all know that he was finding it increasingly difficult to make it worthwhile for him to be spending time at the arena. Since COVID and since we haven't had anybody in the canteen in the last 4 years, there would have to be some things that would have to be done in the canteen before somebody could actually utilize that space. There'd be fire inspections that would have to be completed of the suppression equipment, cleaning, setting up. There would have to be work with whoever that person was. If somebody did go in there, they would have to work through with public health to get that all in order. Realistically, by the time that all took place, even if the board was to approve something today, it's going to be February probably before that person's ready to actually operate in there. And I don't think that's fair to staff to put that work on between now and then. I don't think it's fair to the person operating when they're only going to have a matter of weeks left in this season. I think it's going to be difficult with the new businesses in town. That's certainly going to compete against somebody that's operating in the canteen as well. So I guess from our point of view, we're not saying that we're necessarily against somebody being back in the canteen, but we feel that if this is something that the board, we have renovation plans, the committees met Monday night, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So I think with everything in play here right now and just the time of the year we're in this season, I think that it would be beneficial to hold off on any requests for the balance of this ice season and if this is something that the board wishes that we do put out an RFP and look at having that all in place and ready for whoever that may be come September of 2024, so that they have the benefit of having a whole season in there.
Anyone have any comments on that report?
Just
Go ahead, Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
my apologies. No, thank you, Lee, for that. Certainly that's a reasonable recommendation. On the other side of that, the mobile food truck aspect of things, we were, I believe, looking into having the proper licensing to even be able to consider facilitating that. And I think that was also tabled until we had some information on that.
Yes, that's correct. That's what came out of the report that was presented by the clerk at the December meeting, was that there was to be more information gathered and brought back for that, you know, especially outdoors like that there would have to be certain things in place to make that happen. So.
Okay, so just a quick follow-up on that. So if we accept the recommendation that you've put forward, which seems very reasonable, waiting till the fall, will these folks who have reached out to West Elgin, whether it be for access to the canteen or using the parking lot for mobile food trucks, will we let them know our decisions and that we're just essentially waiting and for good practical reasons, just so that they're not left flapping in the wind?
Yes, I would say, Councillor Denning, that we would, depending on the board's decision this morning, and the recommendation, that we would provide a letter to each one of those proponents, just to let them know where we're at and that we've received their request, and, you know, we'll look at something, or when there's a decision made on that, one way or the other, we'll provide them notice.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the report?
Just to follow up on Mr. Bill Denning there. In regards to a facility or a unit outside the parking lot, would it take up much parking space, and would you run into issues with people walking about, parking safety, things like this?
Yeah, through the chair. This is it's kind of two different things. Obviously, in the canteen area where it always has been, if something was going to be there, is probably the preferred place for it. You know, as part of the clerk's report, and I'm not going to get too far into it, you know, there are some downsides to having something in the parking area. I think we've all been at the arena on a busy night when, you know, you can't find a place to park and you've got kids running here and there, and you know, it can get very congested. And then, you know, you put something in, maybe the footprint of the actual trailer or the food truck doesn't take a lot of space, but you've still got that foot traffic, right, back and forth. This time of year, obviously it's not bad if it's you know, 0 degrees and the sun's shining, but you know, when it's 10 degrees below and it's snowing like crazy out, you know, there's all those things that need to be looked at. And number two, it's just you know, out in that outside piece is more something that's going to have to be dealt with through West Elgin Council, I feel. And then depending on what their decision is around food trucks and mobile operations like that as a whole for the municipality, then that's something that could come back to the board at that time.
There's no other questions. I guess we need a motion to accept Lee's report.
I'll make the
Make
motion
that-
to accept.
Okay, Bill seconded it. All in favor? Yes. That's carried. Skating club update. Jim, I guess you're up.
Okay, the situation with the skating club, 68 members and nothing else to report.
Everything going good?
Seems to be
It's good. New
good on our side, unless there's some complaints on the park side.
Nope.
For minor hockey, Everything's going good. We're just getting into kind of our playoff seeding and kind of final end of season projection. Our last possible tournament should be April 6th or 7th. And if it plays out the way it looks right now, we probably have 2 teams going to that tournament. But the bulk of everybody else will be done right before Easter. There is the early this year too, right? It's the, yeah, so we'll have 2 teams out of play a week after that. So if we could maybe figure out ice times, be closer to the date, we'll know better. But right now, that's our absolute latest date that we'll need the ice will be like 2 days after Easter, if that.
Okay, any questions for Terry? No. Arena renovation update. Is that you, Lee, again?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we did have a meeting Monday night of the arena revitalization committee, I guess you want to call it. And so we're trying to kind of get narrowed down, where we want to go with this and become a little more focused. I think there was a very productive meeting Monday night. We kind of have an idea now of the needs and the wants. I would say just generally, I'm waiting for some drawings to come back. We're going to work up some drawings and bring those back to the next meeting to kind of show you on paper what the idea is. And hopefully by that time, so the original request or the original application to craft was dressing room space. That was one of the big ones. So certainly that's something that we want to try and incorporate. We know from talking to our CBO that once we start adding on additions to that building of any size, that's where the big money really comes in, right? So certainly anything that we can do to facilitate the requests at hand and still keep it within the footprint of the original building is going to save us a lot of money. So saying that, we kind of looked at everything. There's a small dressing room just inside the doors to the right. There's the ticket area. There's the hallway coming in off of that side entrance, and there's the front office where the skate sharpening is done now. That area combined together could be divided and made into 2 more dressing rooms. So that kind of satisfies the extra dressing room space. There would be upgrades to the washrooms. So obviously anytime once we touch the building and start doing anything, it's going to have to be fully accessible. So washroom upgrades would be high on that list of priorities. Because we're utilizing that side entrance, we would put a new, there was talk about an addition, and we're still kind of looking at that, whether it's like a full-fledged addition with office space and stuff out there, or whether it's more of just what do you call it? Like a vestibule style thing where it's basically it's sheltering that front entrance. So there would be a sidewalk from the parking area across the front of the building, with doors into like a vestibule area, and then doors into the warm room, so that you're not getting that blast of cold air directly into the warm room when people are coming in. But that's more what that space would be. It would be a lot smaller. It would be a lot more economical than putting some big addition there with multiple items out front, and bringing into that warm room. Those are kind of those are the key goals. I think those are the needs. There was a couple other things that had come up, depending on what happens with the canteen or what's decided with the canteen. There's that whole space down there. If there's nothing that's going to go back into the canteen, we don't want to waste that space and have it just sit there empty. So there's, some thoughts around what we could do with that, depending on what happens with the canteen. And there was also an idea brought up about putting a second level in the warm room. So I know a lot of arenas do have the upstairs with the viewing area. That was one of the things that came out of the surveys that Kraft did during their event. what people thought they would like to see in the building. And that was one of the reoccurring things that came up. Now, obviously, that's, you know, that's it's a wish, and it's not to say that it's not doable, but that's one of those things that I think that we need to, that would require a structural engineer to come in and take a look at the building and, you know, say, yes, it can be done, no, it can't be done. And if it can be done, is it 500,000 or is it, you know, 2 million? So, back in 2009, when the last renovations were done, the engineering firm that did that, Spreets, have all those files electronically. So I've requested all that those electronic files, and we're able to, as a committee, we're able to mock those up and hopefully have those for you at the next board meeting, just to kind of see. And I'm hoping at that point too, we can also have had time to have somebody come out and take a look at that idea, just at those ideas to, you know, none of us are engineers, so I'm confident that the work on the main level, as far as the dressing rooms and the upgrades to the washrooms and things like that, are 100% doable. When we get into talking about adding a second story, we're going to want some confirmation on that before we go too far down that road. But we should have, like I said, it was good. We've kind of got focused in now on where we're going with this, and I think that the ideas that were presented meet the needs of the groups that are involved, and yeah, more to come. I don't know if either of you guys were both at the meeting, if I've missed anything or if you have anything to add.
I think that discussion about a second level and there's kicked around for a long time. If I remember back when I was involved with minor hockey, that was still going on. So it's goes back longer than I care to remember, I think. But anyways, it's good. Nice to see a report come. So once you kind of get a plan, we'll still have to go out to an engineering firm and draw that. So we're still a fair ways away from any actual work being undertaken.
Yeah, through the chair, I think, well, to answer your first question about the second level, we felt that, yes, it is maybe a lofty goal, but at the same time, if we at least look into it, if they say no, it's not possible, then we know. Then if anybody down the road says, hey, why didn't you do X? We can say we investigated it and it wasn't feasible, wasn't possible. And that's why it didn't happen. And then, yeah, the plan is to get some drawings put together so that the board can see our ideas. And then once the board is comfortable with the direction that that's going, then we would have to go to, go to an engineering firm and have them actually start doing up some plans and putting a cost against that. This is certainly something that's not going to happen this year, or possibly even next year. With what's being proposed, I think that it really, it's not something that we can piece out and do little portions. It's, once you get into ripping stuff apart, you just want to tear off the Band-Aid and get it done, and right. So, but yeah, I think the first part of this is, as a committee, us deciding what we think it should look like and bringing that forward to you and getting, your input on it. And then once collectively as a group we are comfortable with that, then actually securing an engineer to put some drawings together and some pricing.
Just, yes, to the chair, in regards to the second level, I'm not sure how much space you got as far as changing roof line. Hopefully that wouldn't have to. Accessibility, would you have to put some sort of a small elevator in? Yeah, okay.
Good question, yeah. Makes it a little bit more expensive when you start talking about elevators.
Escalator maybe.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, obviously, most things are achievable. It's just, what you're willing to pay to make that happen. So.
Thanks, Lee, and the other members on that committee for the update, and look forward to your plans. Staff operations update.
Not much to report. No news is good news, I suppose. We made it through December using up staff holidays and getting through that kind of stuff. Now we're on the other side of Christmas and looking forward to playoffs and continuing on.
No issues, everything seems to be working fine, so.
No mechanical issues,
Here,
knock on wood. Yeah, seems to be operating as it should.
just a thought going back to Lee's report, so basically, probably the earliest you'd look at any construction would be next summer then, eh? That make sense?
Yeah, I would think certainly not this year, so if at the earliest would be the summer of 25.
Any questions on the staff report? Oh. Nice short meeting again. I know we're not supposed to do this, but anything we need to talk about that's not on the agenda, maybe next time we'll talk about the renaming thing, but we'll probably have a meeting before long. Okay. So I guess if nothing else, I'll need a mover to adjourn the meeting.
I'll bring it forward.
Harry, seconder. Brian, all in favor? It's good.
Thanks, everybody.